Hi, this is Christian Semlich, and today, in tonight's talk, I have the honor to speak with Adam Phillips. He's a real estate investor, a professional. He is at the other side of planet Earth, as we would say, down under. And well, I love all of these techniques. We have the chance to really talk with each other all the time, all over all the planet. And today, Adam Phillips is here. Adam, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me. And also to our German-speaking listeners, wie geht es dir?
Oh my God, that's great. You speak German. You didn't tell me that before. Have you been
Yeah.
to Germany or what's your connection?
So my grandmother is from Austria.
Oh,
Ja, meine Großmutter ist von Österreich.
okay.
So ich
Which
spreche
part?
ein bisschen Deutsch.
A little bit. Okay, which part?
From Vienna.
Vienna. Okay, which is not really Austria. Vienna is a country of its own. What they say. At least that's what Austrians say. Vienna,
Oh,
well,
wow.
that's not Austria. And Vienna people say, well, we are not Austria. We are Vienna.
Yeah, and
Special
I think
culture
even,
there, but a very, very nice city.
yeah, I think parts of that actually used to be former Czechoslovakia,
Oh,
like from the region where
okay.
she's from. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Cool. So, Adam, tell us what you're doing.
Yeah. So I'm a real estate investor. I've been investing for quite a number of years. And I've had quite a lot of success on my journey over the years. And people used to ask me all the time, how did you do it? How did you build such a large portfolio? How do you manage it? Just how do you comprehend it all? And so I used to teach and coach people all the time, give them hints and tips. Whereas now I've decided to actually become a mentor and show people the proven processes and the things that I've done and how then they can then apply them to their life. There's lots of different strategies that I've tried. I bought houses, apartments, townhouses. I bought houses with enough area to build additional homes on there. I've done big renovations, small renovations. There's a whole range of things. So I'm really excited that I can now hold people's hand, through the same process that I've been through, and to show them all the things that works, and obviously leave out the bits that don't work.
Okay. Adam, if I get that right, you help also those to become real estate investors who would usually not do that, or you help those who want to begin. Is that everyone can do it?
Absolutely. So everybody can do it. So the things that I can teach are for, your absolute beginner investors.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of those people, there might be a lot of confusion out there. Where do I start? How do I get a deposit? What are all the different bits and processes?
Yep.
So I'll show those people how to go from confusion to a solution, a turnkey solution. So basically they've got those keys to the house. So they know, a path that does work. And okay, how am I going to apply this to my financial situation? And for people who maybe already have a home, maybe they've got multiple investment properties, some of those people just don't know how to take the next step. I've been there before myself. So I had a number of investments, and for a while I was staying stagnant. But if I had the system that I had now, and I had the knowledge I had now, I could have just kept going step by step, through the process. So from beginners, up to people, who already homes, who really want to, accelerate their investing.
Yeah, those who already have, they're quite, at least they know how it feels like, and they have an idea what it's all about. What I think is really important, especially in those times, is that there is someone taking beginners to become investors. And as all of you who know the square of that Robert Kiyosaki is showing, being an investor is the most important part to really grow and to build wealth. Whether it is in real estate or in stock market, whatever, you have to know what you do. But Adam Phillips is going to show you what to do. And today, he's going to share some of his secrets. So, Adam, what was the reason that you got in there?
So say that again, the reason why.
What is the reason, your why? Why did you go into the real estate?
Yeah, so that's interesting. And that's so during my process, I teach a process called desire, acquire, and retire. So that very, very first part of that process is desire. And for me, what that actually means for me actually goes back to Europe. So my grandfather, he was born in Yugoslavia, which is now Montenegro. And when he was over there, the land was captured and he was taken as a prisoner. he then escaped from there and then ended up in Austria and then met my grandmother. But this is during World War II, so he couldn't actually stay in Austria. He then had to flee there and ended up in Italy and then came out to Australia through the Snowy Mountain scheme. So they had like a hydro initiative to turn the snow on the Snowy Mountains into electricity. During the war, he actually lost contact with my grandmother, so they had no idea what happened to each other. But he was still in contact with one of his family members, so they were communicating via letters. And it's interesting when you think about that, that could have taken months for that letter to get back there. It's not like today how we can send an email or a tweet or a WhatsApp message, but they had that communication. They then connected and said, oh, wow, I've actually seen Valerie, so my grandmother. And then my grandfather, Lubomir, they started connecting with each other. But during this time, when he actually had to flee Vienna, he actually had a child there with my grandmother. They actually never got to meet because this was during the war. My grandmother then, after the war, had remarried to somebody else because she had no idea actually what happened to my grandfather. And then during this time, my grandmother obviously made the decision to leave Austria and move out to Australia to be with my grandfather. And it's just one of those amazing love stories, how strong their love was, to bring them together. When they came out here, my grandfather was trained as a doctor in Yugoslavia, but he couldn't actually work in that sort of field. So he had to do factory work, all this sort of work. My grandma was actually a world-renowned musician. So her and her family, they used to travel around Europe, performing, singing, piano, the violin. Her entire family, when she was in Australia, you just couldn't do that. They were living through a depression after the war. So she had to then go work for a hospital. They work basically, day and night as much as they can. When they moved here, that's, when my mother was born. But it was amazing that, they went through all those troubles, but they were still able to save up money. My grandfather purchased a home in one of the most, sought after suburbs in Sydney, near the city. He then purchased, multiple homes after that, apartments. He did really well. And, they were just so lucky to be there. My grandfather on my father's side as well, same thing, went through the war. He was on a warship that got hit by a torpedo. So he was lucky to be alive as well. It's just absolutely amazing. So I'm so lucky to be here. And that's, where my desire actually comes from. My grandparents were able to build a family. And my grandmother used to always tell me, every single time I spoke to her on the phone, see you later, Adam, I love you. She was, one of the only people that I really ever heard that story through. But seeing what they were able to do in real estate, my grandfather on my father's side, he also designed and built his own home. Okay. What that actually gave me is a desire to, want to really invest in real estate. I heard about the stories about how hard they had to work, whether they, moved, from Europe with absolutely nothing and they were, able to build what they did. I think what I've been provided in life, I'm lucky, I've had a lot of these things handed to me. So whenever I think about my journey and the journey they went through, that gives me an absolute burning desire, to be able to, okay, wow, I've got these tools in front of me, I'm really going to leverage my wealth, because of the things that my grandparents did. Without them, I just wouldn't be here. And that just gives me that absolute burning desire. And now that I've got a family of my own, I've got a little daughter, she's almost 2 years old, I want to put her in a position to succeed, like my parents were able to do, because of their parents. And that just gives me, a burning desire to charge ahead.
Absolute amazing story.
Yeah.
Coming out of your past and still has a grip into your presence.
Yeah.
Wow. I just heard in our small talk before the interview that you are providing your services through online courses. Is that right? You have membership sites on the place?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm currently developing an online membership site, and I'm basically developing a program, that I wish that I had when I first started investing. Because I think if you have those information really early on and can, get rid of that confusion, so you've got more clarity and now you've got a solution, you can literally save, 10 to 15 years off that learning curve. That's how long it's taken me to learn all these things. Yeah, so if I can give that information to people, hold their hand through the process, and just show them some of the things that work, they can then figure out, wow, this is how it's going to apply to my life. And this is how, I can put my family in a position to succeed, especially for the uncertainty at the moment. There's a lot of uncertainty, and, having a real estate portfolio behind you. And even if you don't have one now, don't worry, because, it is a good time to start building that. But you really need to have multiple streams of revenues. It's not just about real estate. That is one bucket. But you do need other ones so that you can then funnel those profits from the other investments back into real estate and really start building that base out. They do call it, safe as houses for a reason.
Okay. So if there are people out there who are in your group, you support them ongoing. But if someone is having some serious trouble just to get it or whatever, is there also a coaching from your side?
Yeah, so I also offer one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
At the moment, that's all basically done via Zoom.
Yeah.
Once the pandemic's open, if you live in Australia or if I'm traveling around the world, I also meet with people in person as well. Okay. I've also got a Facebook group, and at the moment that's free of charge, so anybody can join there. And you'll actually see all the behind the scenes process of me actually building this membership site out. There's videos that I'm uploading all the time, and just little hints and tips, how to save, this amount of money, how to do all these different processes. So at the moment, that Facebook group is free.
So, okay. I'm going to put that Facebook group later on under
Yep.
the interview. Fantastic. Yep. And well, it sounds like a step-by-step program that even I could do it, although I'm not in real estate.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at it later.
Yeah. You should be in real estate, definitely.
Although I'm not in Australia, but I think the principles work all over the world, right?
Exactly. They do work, in most countries around the world, and they are principles that you can then apply to your local markets.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Adam, I warned you. I'm going to ask you about one or two secrets that you are willing to share that usually people do not know, and that could be mission critical or very helpful for someone who wants to become successful in investing in real estate. What would that be? Yeah,
sure. I'd say like the number one secret out there is, so I was explaining that process that I teach before. So the desire, acquire, retire. So the retire component is all about starting with the end in mind. So the great Stevie Covey used to speak about that. If you want to have a really good, successful plan or a vision, you have to start with the end in mind. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to talk about this as well. Back when he was living in Austria, his goal in life was to be Mr. Olympia. He started with that vision in mind of holding that trophy up. He knew exactly what he wanted. So if you know exactly what you want in life, as part of your retirement, so let's just say, I want to retire on $100,000 a year passive income. Fantastic. What else do you want? Do you want to, be living on a yacht, sailing around the world? There's just so many different, needs and processes through that. Or maybe you've got a retirement fund set up. I just want a little bit more additional income, so I've got a little bit more safety behind me. But if you start with that end in mind and knowing what you want to have when you retire, that then enables you to, plan out your journey. Because if you needed that $100,000, okay, we need to now build a plan around that $100,000 and, figure out what sort of properties you need to get that, what sort of capital growth we're looking for, what sort of cash flow. So really starting with the end in mind about exactly what you want to achieve definitely is probably the number one secret.
It's like a lighthouse. Wherever you are on sea, when you see the lighthouse, you know exactly where you raise. If it's the lighthouse of the haven, fantastic. If not, then you should avoid that region. However, lighthouse for me, it's the symbol. Like, okay, that's where I want to be. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't do that, and they're still adding 1 hour after 1 hour into their life, living by the hour, and that's a complete different mindset. What you are talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, good. That was very interesting because I have no clue about that. I will go into your Facebook group just to find out if that's something that even I could do it. Is it easy? I think it is easy the way you provide it. Does it
Absolutely.
work? You are the absolute proof. It works.
Yep. Absolutely.
And what was the third question?
Can I do
Can I do it? Can
it?
I do it?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
in these
can.
challenging times, this is going to be a question because I mean, Switzerland, for example, I'm looking at the border to Switzerland, is quite expensive. In
Yep.
South Germany, everything that is around Switzerland, the prices are very high
Yep.
compared to other places inside of Germany. It's about 3,
Yep.
4, 5 times as high as other places.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So just going on that, one other thing that I've learned,
oh,
if you're investing in real estate, you don't necessarily have to be investing where you live. You know, there's so many good tax benefits by renting your investment properties out. So, you know, one really good thing people can do is, you know, invest in the areas they can afford. You know, there's up and coming areas, the areas where you're getting lots of cash flow, but then just rent where you want to live. Because a lot of the time, those places that you want to live, sometimes the price that that real estate sells for is out of reach.
yeah.
And the other thing, if you're living in that property, you know, that's not deemed an investment. So there's not as many tax write-offs. Well, there's no tax write-offs. Whereas if you're renting it out, there's a lot of things you can claim. There's a lot of things you can depreciate in a property. So financially, it makes a lot better sense, you know, to rent where you want to live and then invest where you can afford and where you're going to get those gains from.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was secret number 2, which is going also to leverage your investments, right?
Yep, exactly.
Wow, that was very helpful. I really hope that everyone who has tuned in the beginning was getting through all of these steps. Listen to the interview one more time. If you think you missed something, I think I will listen to it definitely at least one more time because I want to find out the details that Adam was sharing. So Adam, thank you for taking a call around the world to down under, or to, how do you call it, from Australia to the other side? Are we up under? No, what do you call us?
Europe, I think.
Oh, just Europe. Okay.
Yeah, just Europe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know,
Well,
thank you very much for having me, you
yeah.
know, and Dankeschön. Nice to meet you all. And I hope you all have a schönes Tag.
Gerne geschehen.
It's,
Danke. Thank you.
it's late at night here, so we are going to bed soon, but I hope you have a fantastic day.
We will have. Thank you, Adam, and thank you for all of you who tuned in and got some of these investment secrets. Goodbye for now.